PSG are through in the Coupe de France, but today isn't really about the scoreline. Against 50 years tied Vendée Fontenay, this was a perfect opportunity to rotate, test the squad, and most importantly, give valuable minutes to academy youngsters. We'll break down who impressed, who made the most of their chance, and what this game tells us about PSG's depth and future. And then we'll look ahead, because with the holiday starting up and a packed schedule just around the corner, the next few weeks could be absolutely decisive for this team. So, definitely G for me, clear decisive win. Really, like in the end, I'll be honest, like I don't think there's that much to talk about. It's just and as expected when you have a team like PSG, literally the best team in the world right now, playing against 50 years of amateurs. Um, Kudos to PSG. We took the game seriously. We were 2-0 up at half time, scored two more to put the game beyond the shadow of a doubt. And at the same time, like I said, managed to rotate a lot, give the players ready, keep the players tired on the bench. And so ultimately, it's really like kind of the best outcome of a game like this. No drama, no real, like no real hard moments from it. There's a couple of injuries, but it looks like major at this point. So I guess, yeah, this is really the best case issue of what you can expect from a Coupe de France game. I think for me, like the most interesting part is really all of the youngsters that featured in this game, and getting a sense of who did well, who didn't do so much, and who we can expect to see feature in the first team in the coming weeks and months. And beyond that, I think like it's great to see that I think like our attacking line, which has been you know not having the best of the season so far, I guess. Our four goals come from our attackers, Doué and Dembele, who are both recently coming back from injury, both scored, both played like quite interesting games. Gonzalo Ramos, we know can be, frustrating and inconsistent when he actually started the game and actually got a brace from it, and actually played a good game. So I think for me that part, when you look at first team player, is really what stands out. Great to see Dembele play 60 minutes. Great to see Doué also like spend time on the pitch. And yeah, great to see Ramos not only like doing the goal scoring, obviously loves the goal scoring, and a brace for him in such a game is like kind of minimum of what you'd expect from him. But also, I thought it was interesting how he linked up in the game and kind of dropped some time and tried to combine with partners and so on. It wasn't, the archetype of the static number nine that sometimes he gets described as. He was more of a Luis Enrique type of number nine, that participates in the games, that moves around, that can like pass the ball with teammates and create opportunities like this. And so ultimately, that's kind of great to see, because of my sense that this is really the expectation for him. And so even if the opposition was obviously very uh, at a lower level than us, to be sure, it's still good that he did it. So like, kudos to him. Beyond that, like I said, the interesting part was really the TTs. So I'll start with the goalkeeper, because we played for the first time in the first team our third goalkeeper, who joined PSG this summer, Renato Marin, who's been talked about within PSG circles as really, really promising in this position. Typically, like PSG people say that he might be the most promising young keeper in the world. In the group. And so it was really great to see him in action. In the end, you really didn't have a lot to do. And I think like just a couple of moments stood out. Like he had two saves to make at the end of the game. He did them well. They weren't overly complicated or anything like that. But it shows that he stayed focused throughout the game. And I think like when you're the goalkeeper of PSG in a game like this, typically that's the hardest part. It's you're not gonna have anything to do until like one shot comes late in the game, and you need to still be focused at that point and be ready to make the save that you need to make. Exactly what happens there. I think the first save, his positioning was very good. That takes care of most of the work. The second save is a little bit more technical and did very well as well. Like I said, not class saves or anything, but job well done. Uh, then in terms of distribution, I thought like passing was good, like nothing really, crazy sticking out, either in a bad or in a good sense. So overall, I think it's good to see a youngster like him who gets a really like a really simple first game with the pro squad, and really kind of does the best of it. The second that we saw after the football that we like really excited to see, and that we've been meaning uh, to see in the first squad for a while, was David Bowie. David Bowie, also one of the names that people around PSG talk about as the highest potential youngster. Sadly, he got injured in this game around the 30th minute, so he didn't get the full match. He didn't really get a chance to show the full palette of what he can do. But in those 30 minutes, we're already starting to get a sense. And I'll say it up front, is a right fullback, and this PSG right fullback is probably the hardest position to play. It's a Hakimi role, it's a role that Warren Zaïre has been covering, and it is a role where you need to be a right defender, you need to be a midfielder, you need to be a right winger, and on occasion you need to be a false nine. So it is extremely complicated, physically, tactically, technically. It really asks a lot of the player, and putting a 16-year-old in this position, it's not the easiest thing for him, and not the best thing for the club. That said, I thought like his 30 minutes were quite interesting. I think he covered the position pretty much as well as we could have expected. I think physically for a 16-year-old, he's really miles ahead of where he should be, and I think he's really in a position like I'm not entirely sure whether he's going to be quite at Ligue 1 level physically, but it's definitely maybe at least two kind of level, which is already great to see. Tactically, it was a little bit complicated. He did try to slot into midfield in some occasions and so on. But obviously, for a first game in this position with the squad, he didn't really show the full range of what the right fullback typically brings to the table within this team. I think as he gets more game time, he probably get more comfortable with the position. And like if you compare with Warren Zaïre, it took a long time to really start delivering to the level that's expected in this position. Yeah, no drama there. Honestly, no drama. And then the last piece, technically, I think technically there's talent to be sure, there's promise to be sure, but there's also like a couple of first touches which were not the sharpest ever. No huge drama there either, but just like those little tiny things of taking your first touch in a way that sets you up to be able to accelerate, or sets you up to be able to make that sharp pass straight after. Things like this were maybe like 2% below what you do want. So there's definitely improvement that happens there. In the end, like I said, he got taken off for injury at the 30th minute. What we're hearing is that nothing too bad. So for a player who's been plagued by injury as well, no huge drama, which is obviously fantastic to see. After that, we had like players that we've seen as well a bit more. So Zaire Emery was there, Mayulu was there. I'm not really like there's nothing really huge to cover about them. Mayulu actually slotted in at right back after Boli left. So that was interesting, and Mayulu has been moved around a lot, so he hadn't played in that position for a while. So hopefully he can in January get some game time before Hakimi comes back from the African Cup of Nations to cover for Warren Zaïre, playing every minute possible. And then beyond that, a few other youngsters we saw. Engine 2 started the game, also like picked up an injury, so was taken out at halftime. Nothing too major. We've seen it for a while. And then like players that came in on the pitch as substitute. Jean Jal came in at halftime for Engine 2. Kind of in line with what we had seen of him against Auxerre in the league a few months back. Really talented, really sharp technically, really bring something. I think he was maybe a little bit more ready for the level of competition. So you can see in his performance, he's sharper, he's contributing more, but no real drama. And I think there's contract negotiations around Jean-Jal, so hopefully he signs his first pro contract with PSG very soon. Beyond that, two other youngsters featured, Noam Kamara, who's our 19-year-old central defender. He came in at the 60th minute and played on the right side of defense, so not really his position. He didn't really push the envelope. Obviously, like I said, like the right defender spot in PSG is very complicated. So he stuck with the defensive part of it, which is really like what he knows how to do, and kind of delivered really well on that, which is what you'd want from him. And then the last one that we had, which was quite exciting, was Tuki, who came in as well at the 60th minute. It showed some really interesting stuff, both in terms of the intentions and trying to make things happen, showing a lot of energy, showing a lot of appetite, but also technically was quite sharp. Was his first time with the pro squad. So hopefully that's a player that we're going to see again. And I think that's the one that maybe surprised the most people in terms of being able to slot in and contribute to this squad. Even if at the 60th minute the game was essentially we're already at 4-0, so the game was essentially over. But yeah, like it's good to see and good to see youngsters contribute. So that's always positive. So that's kind of what I had for you on this Vendée Fontenay game. Next game in the Coupe de France, because the draw already happened, we're going to be playing at home in the Parc des Princes against Paris FC. So there's going to be a Paris derby in the Coupe de France. That game is going to be in January, so it's interesting because we play them in the league on the 4th of January. It's going to be a first game back, and then we're going to play them 1 week later on the 11th in the French Cup. So we're going to be playing Paris FC twice in a week, and in the middle of that, we're going to be playing Marseille, obviously, for the Trophée des Champions in Kuwait, I think, like somewhere in the Gulf. So that's going to be a really packed beginning of Jan. Luckily, we finally are on a break now after like a crazy season and no real summer break. The players are off on holiday until the 30th of December. That's when they'll come back for training. They've got training on the 30th at 5 in the afternoon in the campus. So they've got essentially a 10-day holiday. Some of the players obviously went early. Pacho was not called up for the Vendée Fontenay game. Same thing for Marquinhos, who also has like a pretty long way to go to Brazil to get his holiday. And same thing for Kennedy, who's picked up an injury in the game before that. So all of those guys were out. And all of those guys get a little bit of extra rest, which is great. And so, yeah, 10 days of holidays for the squad. They'll be back on the 30th, have a couple of days on training. They're actually off on the 1st of January, so I don't know if Luis Enrique is expecting heavy hangovers after the New celebrations. But it is what it is, and then we'll go into the league game against Paris FC on the 4th of Jan, then Marseille and Paris FC again, and like on and on. We've got 2 Champions League games at the end of Jan, against Sporting in Lisbon, in Portugal, and then at home on the 28th against Newcastle. So January is going to be actually like a pretty heavy month. We've got 8 games to play. 7 games to play. We've got like Strasbourg on the 1st of Feb, depending on how you count that. Yeah. Really heavy, a trip to the Middle East to play the Trophée des Champions. The African Cup of Nations will be ongoing. There's quite a few things going on. Hopefully this goes well. Hopefully the 10 days really allow us to fine-tune the fitness of the team, and hopefully set us up for a great run in the second half of the season. So anyways, this is what I had for you guys at this point. Last thing for the road. We're on holiday now. I'll come back and do a video if there's anything to cover. I expect the next week or so to be super quiet, if I'm honest. I know there's a transfer window that's going to be starting soon, but typically, yeah, the squad is off, Luis Enrique is off. We might be talking about a few transfers, but obviously at Christmas time. There's also a lot of things that are moving forward. So yeah, I'll let you know if anything comes up. And yeah, as always, if you made it this far, please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the bell to get notified. And yeah, let me know in the comment what you thought of this Vendée Fontenay win. And don't forget, on the road on holiday, ici c'est Paris!